Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexis. I don't know what I'm doing. So today I'm doing another look with a palette that I've played with once, maybe not even on this channel. I'm not sure. I got this ages ago. It is the Fortune palette by ColourPop. This is what she looks like on the inside. Very pretty neutral colors. The sister palette to that is the Fame palette, which is this one here. And the reason that I really liked this one was because it was nice and cool toned, and there were not a lot of really cool toned palettes out there at the time. So, a long-winded way of saying that is I'm going to be trying the Fortune palette today and trying to create a look with it. I don't think I'm going to have any problems. It is a stunning palette. Really pretty colors, rusty colors, that sort of thing. So yeah, if you're interested in watching me create a look and kind of just bullshitting with you, then keep watching. Alright, so first things first, I have already washed my face and done my eyelid priming my eyelid, doing my moisturizer and all that jazz, and so it's had about 20 minutes to soak into my skin, so that's plenty. One of my subscribers, beautiful kitty cat guru, she sent me a really lovely message because in my last video I said that I was KT Kitty is her name, and she told me that she felt bad for me because I said I was struggling with my channel. Oh, and I fixed my hair, bitches. What you think? My natural color shining through. I love it. Anyway, side note, she said that she was really bummed out about my video that I did because in the video I said that I don't really feel like I have a target audience. I don't really feel like I have a place here on YouTube. And she said that, you know, just basically gave me some really sweet words of encouragement. And she had a brilliant idea of me doing a 10 things you don't know about me. So yeah, so I'm gonna talk about those, and I'm gonna do a look. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna start with my eyes as usual, going in with my p.louise base. It's in the color 0.05, or no 0.5, beg your pardon. And so what I do is I've learned this trick from Christiana James on here on YouTube, where she just kind of dots it on her eye and then blends it in with a brush. And I have had wild success with it since doing it this way. So massive shout out to Chris. Love you, beach. So yeah, just putting a light wash of this eyeshadow base on. Now, if you've been a long time watcher, you know that the MAC paint pot was my jam. Still is. Haven't used it in a while though, because I've been doing some really different types of looks, and I find that the p.louise base is really nice because it's a nice tacky base, whereas the MAC paint pot kind of dries down to like a powdery finish, and this one is much more sticky, and I don't want to say it's better because it's not. I find them comparable. I like them both quite a lot. So the first color I'm going to go in with is, I think I'm going to go in with, ooh, this is hard. These are really flippin' pretty. I think I might go in with Trove, which is this red shade here, this really pretty burnt red shade. Going in with a floofy ended brush, and I'm just going to start packing that in. So I have a doctor's appointment today, which is why I am getting ready. I normally don't wear makeup to my doctor's office, but I figured, hey, what the fuck, you're getting ready anyway. You may as well, you know, you've done your hair, you've taken a shower. You may as well put on some makeup, make yourself feel good today. Because I'm still struggling from when I had my fall a couple weeks ago. It's definitely put me into a flare-up, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it's just the way that chronic pain works, especially back injuries, is that you do one thing to twinge your back and it sends the whole lot into this like frenzy. Frenzy. Sorry. Frenzy stance. That's quoting, whatchamacallit, bloody hell, Big Bang Theory. Started watching that again. So the next shade I'm going to do is I want to blend out this edge, even though it's like super pretty and super blended already. I'm just going to give it that little bit of extra something. So I'm going to go in with the color Ben, which is this light cream shade here. And I'm going to use that on another tighter floofy brush, but I'm going to blend this edge out a bit just to give it a bit more of a seamless kind of look. So let's get started with the strange facts about me. Let me go on my phone. So the first little random tidbit about me is that I have had over 30 jobs. I have had jobs from dog washer to fast food. I have done just about everything you can think of. My last job was a nurse, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that I sustained an injury in 2017. Holy shit, 3 years ago to the day almost. So I'm just over 2 weeks from the date that I actually hurt my back. So that's interesting. Went off without a hitch, probably fell on the same day that I hurt my back. Anyway, I'm going to go back in with Trove because I want to deepen this just the tiniest, tiniest little bit. So yeah, I've had over 30 different jobs. My first job was actually a car washing business that I started up one summer. And my dad helped me out with it. He got me this really cool buffer so that I could use it to buff in the waxes and stuff like that and really like get a good deep clean on the car. And my first customer was his best friend at the time, Ricky. I did his car. I did a couple cars around the neighborhood. I did my grandfather's car. So yeah, that was my first little foray into the world of business. God, what else have I done? I've worked at PetSmart. I worked there for a year, I want to say. I worked for Lancome. I've worked for Stila. I was a dog bather at PetSmart. And God, what else? Let's see. I got stuck into an MLM once. That was interesting. Yeah, first, like, they were like, yeah, you just have to pay $99 and you get your kit. It was for a fire extinguisher it was like this weird smelly gas that helped to somehow like extinguish the fires. I don't really remember too much about them now, but yeah, I got my friend into it as well and like paid her way into it, and yeah, it was a big shit show. I've worked for Subway. I worked for Subway when I moved here. I've worked for a pathology company. Let's see, what else have I done? What else have I done? God, there's been so many. I worked in a candy shop. I'm pretty sure I committed a felony at that shop. I would go ape shit. Because the guy that owned it was like, yeah, you can take some candy home with you, if you want every once in a while. I would leave with bags, 2 bags filled to the brim with candy every shift I worked. I worked at a nature store. So I think Nature's Natural Wonders, I think was the name of the store. We sold yo-yos, we sold geodes, we sold telescopes. I mean, like it was a nature store. So, you had the bloody hell, what are they called? The CDs like like Celtic Woman CDs and like whale songs and stuff like that. Loved working there. Absolutely adored working there. I worked for Borders bookstore. I was there as a part-time employee for the holiday season. Sorry, next shade I'm going to go in with, let me stop talking real quick, because I'm going to go in with the color 500, which is the shade right next to Trove. It's really, really, really pretty. And I lied. I'm going to go in with Strike It, which is this one here, this dark brown. And I'm going to try and deepen up this area and deepen up my crease. So I'm taking a smaller packing brush and I'm just going into where my socket is and just slightly above it. And I'm just using windscreen wiping motions to kind of blend that color. So, oh, that's pretty. Oh, it's almost turned it like this really pretty. Popular. I think it's actually a purple. I don't think it's a brown. It's a purple. Oh, I don't know if you can tell, but I love purple. So yeah, I worked at Borders for a holiday season, and I absolutely loved that job. Loved that job. Would 10 out of 10 recommend it to anybody to work at a bookstore. It was the best fucking time. We would just get up to all kinds of hijinks and stuff like that. One time, you know the little security, they're called chits, and they're the little plastic security strips that you put into things so to prevent people from stealing shit. And my friend Brandon and I, my best friend, he and I met at Borders, and we've been friends for over 20 years now. And so, so one night we had this game where we would take the chits and we would all wear hoodies. And so we would like stick them in each other's hoodies, because when you had to leave the store to go out and smoke a cigarette, you had to call one of the managers over. They would come over, they would check and make sure you didn't have anything on your person, and then you could go outside. So it was a little security check and all that. And a fun game was for us to like hide chits on each other, so that when we went through the metal detector, or not metal detector, the what the fuck are they called? I don't know, the little thingies, that the security devices that you walk through and they go beep, 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 beep. So that was our fun little game. And one night, I don't know why or how it happened, but a chit ended up on a dollar bill. Like, Brandon and I were fucking around at the registers, and a chit ended up on a dollar bill, essentially. We had this customer there. I'm getting to the point of the story. We had this customer come in, shortly after Brandon and I were messing around with the chits. And this woman is trying to leave, and all of a sudden she starts beeping. And so we're like, oh, maybe I didn't get all the chits. Like, maybe there was one in a book that I didn't scan to demagnetize or whatever. And like, this woman just kept going through, coming in and out, in and out. We checked everything. We had to like go through her bag. We went through her handbag, like the whole 9 yards. And then Brandon was like an hour later, he was like, what happened to that chit that we put on that dollar? And I was like, and then it dawned on me that we had actually put a chit on a dollar bill, and that poor woman had that chit on that dollar bill, and that's what was setting off the alarm. And oh my God, we would have gotten into so much fucking trouble if they had found out. But nobody called us out on it. It was just one of those like freak things. When we went back to the States late last year, we talked about it again there. Like, it's one of my favorite stories with Brandon. But yeah, that was like, after that we were thick as thieves. Like, we actually hit it off really well from like the beginning. All of my friends that I've had for 20 years, like, we all met each other through somebody that worked at Borders. So some of my friends actually went to uni together and had gone to high school together, and so they had been like buddies forever and ever. And then they ended up meeting me, and it was just kind of like, I did a Bob Dylan impression, and that was it. Everybody was sold. So yeah, we've been friends since I was 18, so 20 years. And yeah, I dearly love my friends and miss them all so much, but I've made some really, really fantastic friends since moving here. So I wouldn't trade anything for the world. I love my friends. My friends are my family. They always have been. So yeah, that's basically it. That's a long-winded story to tell you about me working at 30 different jobs. The next random fact about me is that I am a huge fan of movies. I am a movie collector. I have a lot of DVDs. I'm actually embarrassed by the amount of DVDs and box sets and stuff like that I've accumulated over the years. I love movies. I love going to the movies. I love watching movies. I love buying movies. I love finding new movies. I love going to the horror section at JB Hi-Fi and looking at the like lame B version movies and stuff like that, like things you've never heard of, like Maniac. I found that's a movie that has Elijah Wood in it, the kid that played Frodo, or that was in North. And he plays this guy that is just so unhinged. Like, it is so friggin' good. But I found that through just looking through the horror section and stuff like that. Sorry if that was really loud, the microphone. So yeah, I've got over 600 DVDs and box sets. So it's a lot. And I have almost the same amount of music CDs. So yeah, music CDs. So yeah, I huge cinephile, love music as well. So yeah, that's just a little handy tip fact about me, a little factoid. Alright, so I'm having a hard time figuring out which one I want to do, beach. Alright, so I'm going to go in with the color 500 now, which is the one that I was going to go in with. And I'm actually going to pack that on the outer corner of my lid, because I'm going to do kind of like a faux cut crease. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to place that just here on my lid, and I'm just going to kind of blend that into my lash line, like really making sure I get my lash line, and then just kind of feathering it into the middle of my eye, but not going past like my pupil. The next little factoid I have about myself is that I love music. I said that already, but I love music. My favorite band of all time is, oh shit, I've got two. I have two. So Dave Matthews Band, one of the first bands that I fell in love with when I was younger, and Incubus. I have seen Incubus in concert. I have never had the opportunity to actually, well, I've had the opportunity, but I never had the money to like afford to go and see Dave Matthews Band, which is a huge bummer because their live shows are amazing. Their Live from Central Park record, beach, so good. I'm gonna take my Urban Decay glitter primer if I can find it. What did I do with it? So yeah, I'd love to see Dave Matthews Band. They are, like I said, one of the best bands that I have ever come across. They have solid hits. They have beautiful love songs and like really jazzy fun things, and it's just, I found it. Is this it? Eyeshadow primer potion. No, that's not what I wanted. I think I can do a video of 10 minutes looking for her eyeshadow primer. But yeah, Dave Matthews Band and Incubus are by far and away my two favorite bands in the whole wide world. Incubus came to my town, or my city, like 5, maybe 6 years ago. And I was apparently, so I have this thing about Brandon Boyd. He is my husband. We've never met, but he's my husband. And he's just, there's just something about him that just really sends me into a frenzy. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with the color, do I want to do this dark or do I want to take it, I think I'm going to go in with Money Trees, which is this one here in the corner. The only thing I don't like is this palette doesn't have a friggin' mirror. So yeah, I have every Incubus album. I'm not sure, I think they've just recently come out with another one that I haven't gotten my hands on yet, but they were like promoting a world tour for it, and I wish they were coming back to my city, but they're not. And then even if they were, the whole COVID thing has stuffed everything up, so I wouldn't even get to see them anyhow. So I'm taking that on that Money Trees on the inner corner of the eye. It's a little bit darker than I thought it was going to come off, so I'm going to actually take one of the lighter gold shades and pop that right in the middle of my eye. And I'm going to do that with my finger. And I think the color I'm going to go in with is, I'm going to go in with Miser, which is this shade right here. I'm going to see if I can swatch it on the back of my hand so you can see. It's like this beautiful duochrome green slash copper yellow color. It's a really, actually I don't know if I want to use that color. That's not quite right, but it's pretty nonetheless. So I think what I'll actually do is go in with Oracle, which is the color I was going to go in with first, which is the one just above that. I'm going to take it on my clean-ish finger, and I'm going to pop that just on the center. Oh, yeah. I love, okay, I don't think I could have sounded any more derpy. That is pretty. So I'm going to, I didn't mean to take that into my crease. So I'm going to kind of fluff it away a bit. There we go. Ooh, that's very, very pretty. So yeah, I got to see Incubus, and my husband told me that Brandon was up on stage, obviously, duh, singing his heart away, and then he took his shirt off, and my husband said my eyes bugged out of my head. And he was like, I could literally see the drool, well, not literally, but he was like, I could see the drool, like, running down your face. And I was like, no, I didn't. He said, Baby, yeah, you did. Every woman in the audience did. And I was like, oh, okay. So it wasn't just me. So yeah, anyway, would give anything to see them again. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Such a great concert. So I'm going to double this up on my other eye. And I'm just literally just giving the lightest pressure and just dabbing, dabbing, dabbing. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know why I just did that. That's very Trixie Mattel kind of thing to do. Been watching her stuff and just loving it on YouTube. Her full coverage Fridays. If you haven't heard of it, Trixie Mattel is doing this thing called Full Coverage Fridays. She picks like 3 songs, maybe 4. I would say 3 to 5 songs, and she is sitting in her living room and she's got her little setup and she streams. It's really funny to, and I hate to say this, but it's funny to watch her kind of like fumble with the audio and stuff like that, because she's doing it all on her own. She's putting everything together and coming up with everything on her own, and watching her struggle like with her microphone and stuff like that, and everybody's like, the volume's wrong, and she's just like, you know what, bitches, you're just gonna have to deal with it. Yeah, it's a fun time, and it's every Friday, and she puts up the premiere so you know when it's happening, and the covers that she does, and it's really, really good. I love watching it. It's like a little mini concert on a Friday night, which is lovely. And then yeah, so Full Coverage Friday, check it out for sure. Like, you're gonna have a good time. It's like a little mini concert, which is kind of cool because I'm supposed to be seeing Trixie and Katya in a couple months, but because of the whole COVID thing, they've had to cancel the concert until, well, they're rescheduling the concert. They're rescheduling it for next July. So I'm waiting over a year to see it. But at least, because I'm taking my friend Moira with me, at least now she won't be heavily pregnant while trying to enjoy herself at a comedy show. So that's a good thing, I suppose, that has come from that, is that she doesn't have to stress about being really uncomfortable the whole time. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. All right, I think I haven't taken that quite dark enough. So I'm just gonna go back in the crease. All right, that is sufficiently dark. All right, so I'm gonna go back in with that color Strike It, and I'm gonna deepen up my crease. Next thing. Let's see, my list of things. Okay, so what, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know, but I love cooking. Like, love cooking. I have always loved cooking since I was a little girl. My great-grandmother had a rule, and this kind of like, my grandmother had the same rule, obviously, because great-grandmother had it first and kind of just passed down the line of family members. But the rule is that you started to learn to cook when you could reach to the back of the stove and not burn your arm. And so from a very, very young age, I was in the kitchen with my grandmother. I grew up, oh, shiza. That was really dark, and I did not mean to, that's, oh, fuck. I'm going to have to blend that out a bit better. I hope I don't have to go back on the other eye and fix it. But yeah, that was the rule. So if you could touch the back of the stove without burning your arm, then you were in the kitchen learning how to cook. And so from a very young age, I was in the kitchen with my grandmother, with my great-grandmother. I'm going to blend that out some. And so yeah, that was the deal. So I have been a huge fan of cooking. I love learning new recipes. Kind of my jam. Like, if I'm not cooking, then I feel lost if I'm not in the kitchen, to be honest. I just, if I could have another profession, I would be a chef for sure. Can't do that now because long hours and bad back and all that jazz. So my favorite channel to watch is Bon Appetit. Well, I wouldn't say favorite. It's one of my favorites. I watch pretty much every video that they put out. I love Brad Leone. He cracks me up. Claire Saffitz, I don't know. I like her, but at the same time, I'm like, she's kind of like, sometimes she comes off very like brash and rude, but she just gets so stressed out when she's doing her gourmet makes that it's like you feel so bad for her because she's like trying every little trick of the trade that she knows or that she can find, and she still like will struggle with making certain things, and it's just like, you poor thing. What did oh, money trees, that's right. So I love watching gourmet makes. Alex Delaney, like every time I see him now, because of Brad Leone, because every time Alex will come in, he'll be like, Delaney, and it'll flash up like this little what do you call those graphics on the I'm such a good YouTuber. It'll flash up like a graphics of like a close up of Delaney's face, and it's like Delaney is this what do you call it, like a villain in the kitchen, but it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. You can tell that everybody there just loves working there. Yeah, I really enjoy the content that they put out, the videos that they put out, and they have got some bomb ass recipes. Chris Morocco, oh, I wish I had his palette. I wish I had his palette. He can like, he's fucking phenomenal. I'm gonna take the color cream, which is this one here, and I'm going to highlight my brow bone just lightly. Chris Morocco's palette is insane. I wish that I had Rick. I can't remember his surname, but Rick is Mexican, and he has these amazing looking recipes, but unfortunately, like, a lot of it I can't do simply because I can't get, or I haven't found where to get the ingredients for them, like masa harina or like certain types of chilies and stuff like that. So unfortunately I can't cook a lot of his stuff, but you know, like I made some chili last night. Honestly, like, it's the best chili I've ever made. I did carrot, celery, tomatoes, canned tomatoes, tomato paste, Worcestershire sauce, salt, pepper, chili flakes, cumin, cayenne, and some other kind of pepper. And I just let that go for like 4 hours yesterday, just on a low simmer. And oof, so flippin' good. So proud of myself with that one, 100%. Husband had 3 servings last night, I think. So yeah, it was pretty damn good. I had 2 helpings myself. So just served that over a bed of white rice. Bob's your uncle. Done. So I love cooking. Baking, I really love baking. Recently learned how to make macarons for our 10-year anniversary party. We had a buffet of different desserts, and so I made chocolate chip cookies, macarons, Rice Krispies treats. My sister-in-law made Anzac biscuits that were so good. She made little apple tartlets, and I made little miniature pecan pies. And so yeah, it was super fun. We had a great time. I had a wonderful time doing it. Stressed out to the max for sure, but I had the best time doing it. 10 out of 10 would recommend a cookie table. Anyway, let's move on to the next. Okay. So, alright, I don't... Oh, if I were monetized, I would seriously be like, I'm not telling you this. But I was almost a sex worker. And I'm being 100% legit about this. There's this place called the Bunny Ranch in Reno. There was this documentary or something like that on HBO. And it was like a reality program almost, I think. And so I fell in love with the show. I thought it was just the coolest shit in the world. And yeah, so I was like, that, you know what? I like sex. I'm a very body positive kind of girl, open-minded, free-spirited type of thing. I'm like, I could do that. And so I was at this other job that was dodgy as fuck. Me and this other girl kind of put in an application. Basically, we took a photo of ourselves, our faces, and we sent it in, and we emailed it to these places. And I almost immediately got an email back, and they were like, can you call it, or can we call you? So I gave them my phone number. We talked for a while, and they said, look, we want you to come out. We'll fly you out. We'll get you tested. We'll get this, that. We're like, they were like, we like the way you look. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And at the last minute, I chickened out. So yeah, I was very nearly almost a sex worker. Not that I have anything against it. I just don't know if that's really for my audience to know or not. But yeah, so I was almost a sex worker. And I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm not sure if that's something that you guys want to hear. But yeah, so I'm going to continue on with my face, I think. I'm going to go in with my Tatcha silk canvas. Where's my little scoopy majigger? Oh, there it is, right behind my coffee mug. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of that story. You know, not embarrassed at all by it. My parents even knew about it, so that's how unfazed I was by it. I don't want to call myself a car enthusiast. I'm a specific car enthusiast. I have wanted a Shelby GT 500 since I was a kid. I have loved Shelbys. I think Mustangs. I actually owned a Mustang. It was my mom's car, and when she got my grandmother's hand me down, um, I got my mom's Mustang. It was a 5.0 92 Ford Mustang, cherry red, beautiful car. I ran that fucker into the ground, and then my grandmother ended up like she ended up getting that car, and I got my little Prelude, which was the first car I ever bought. But my grandmother, God rest her soul, she decided that it was flooding really bad in Houston one year, and she was on her way to work, and she literally drove into floodwaters with it and flooded the engine, and the car died. And my grandmother had maybe had it a couple weeks, and I'm like, are you serious? That was like, I love that car, and you have just destroyed it. So I'm going in with my Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. I'm just using this on my cheeks and a little bit on my forehead where I have some bigger pores that I want to kind of fill in. So yeah, my grandmother destroyed my Mustang. Although it was like at that point it was her Mustang. But yeah, I loved that car, but it had all kinds of transmission issues and stuff like that, and you know, I was not nice to that car. So in all fairness, yeah, so the Shelby GT 500 has been the 76 model specifically is the one that I really, really want. There's a guy here in my city who has a cherry red 76. It's not a Shelby, but it's still like, if I, like, it doesn't have to be a Shelby, but I would love a 76 Mustang. Preference is Shelby, which is me being just a little bit, what do you call it? I don't have a sponge. I'm gonna go grab a sponge. I'll be back. Not that you'll ever know that I left, because the power of editing have returned. Okay, so where was I? Shelby's. Shelby's. So my husband knows that I love it, so he got me a little miniature of a Shelby GT 500, Shelby GT 500, and it's like the same color that I want, the gunmetal gray with the black racing stripes up the front. Yeah, I would love to have that car, but it's never gonna happen. Wishful thinking. Going with my Fenty Pro Filter foundation. I want to go in with 140. Give it a good shake-a-rooney. Don't know why I just said shake-a-rooney. Who am I? So the next one is, oh, this one's a bit not, I don't know if it's like revealing or not, but I actually suffer from adult acne. I do have acne on my body. I have acne on my face. My skin is actually behaving itself for the first time in a long time. But yeah, so I suffer from acne breakouts and stuff like that. It's called adult acne when you get over a certain age. Yeah, so I have been suffering with acne. It's part of my polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I also suffer from. It's like one of those widely known and accepted things that it's one of the biggest telltale signs is that, and discoloration. Like some people are like super duper hairy because it messes with your hormones, and so you have like a lot of testosterone and stuff like that, and decreased levels of progesterone, and generally they treat it by giving you birth control and stuff like that. And so the biggest problem with having PCOS is that you have an increased risk of endometrial cancer because your body doesn't menstruate properly, and so it doesn't clean out the walls of your uterus as often as or as well as it should. And so they usually will put you on some sort of birth control so that it can regulate your menstrual cycles. Because I've had multiple DVTs over the years, I can't actually take estrogen based birth controls. So I suffer from acne. I have suffered from acne for many years since I hit puberty, basically. And so, yeah, that's a bit of a pain in the ass. I get back acne. I get acne on my arms. I get it on my face. So I'm just a pimply kind of person. So yeah, that's basically that. That's the ColourPop No Filter Concealer, by the way. I use this in almost every one of my videos, and I don't know what I'm going to do when it runs out. I mean, granted, it's only like $6, but the shipping from the States, if you don't order, like, you get free shipping with ColourPop on orders, I think, in the States of over $50 or maybe $40, something like that. But if you live outside of the States, it's an order of $60, which, if you think about ColourPop and like how inexpensive they are, you get a shit ton for $60. So it's actually, like, to me, it's totally worth to spend the $60 and get like several eyeshadow palettes, get several concealers, getting like, you know, just loading up on product. Love doing that with ColourPop. But I haven't placed an online order for anything in so long. This is the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. I'm kind of buffing it in almost. And I'll go over it with a powder brush to kind of get rid of the excess. Where was I going with that? Oh, the polycystic ovarian syndrome and the acne. So yeah, I just got completely sidetracked, and that's just how my brain works. So welcome to my internal monologue. It's really frustrating for my husband because he doesn't know what I'm talking about from one second to the next. So yeah, love ColourPop. Love, love, love. Many times. Okay, so the next little tidbit about me. Oh, I have 8 tattoos. I don't know if you want to count like my sleeve as one massive tattoo. I usually do. But I have 8 different tattoos. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of them are butterflies. My first tattoo was a gargoyle style, almost tribal like cat face. I have no idea what it looks like now. It's on the small of my back. That was my first tattoo. A friend of mine, Josh, paid for it. It was like $180. And yeah, so my mother used to, on my birthdays, we would go out and we'd get a few outfits from like Old Navy or whatever. And I felt really guilty about getting this tattoo, and so we were in the car on the way to the shops. You know, I was like, Mom, I have to tell you something, but I don't really know how to say it. And she was starting to get worried, and then she's like, okay, well, what is it? And, you know, and she kept pestering me, and I'm like, I'm scared to tell you, I'm scared to tell you. And she was like, finally, Alexis, just spit it out. And so I literally took my shirt and I like raised it up over my back, and she went, what the fuck is, like, she lost her absolute mind. And she was like, what is that? Is that real? I'm going to scrub it off with a Brillo pad. Like, she went off. And I'm just going to take that under my eye. And so, yeah, that was my entrance into tattoos. At one point, I was getting like a tattoo a year, and then took quite a bit of time off. I had this disgusting tattoo on my upper left arm, which has now been covered up by my what do you call it, my sleeve. And it was this lotus blossom that was on fire that had like these blue and green like flames coming out of them. And the reason I got that tattoo was because in the Odyssey, the sirens would lure the sailors in, and they would like drug them with lotus blossoms and their songs and stuff like that. And so I was like, ooh, a lotus blossom, it equals, you know, to me, it's not for serenity. It signifies danger and that sort of thing. And I'm like, I'm beautiful. but I'm dangerous. So that's why I'm getting this tattoo. And it was so fucking stupid. Like, I was such a wanker when I was younger. So yeah, I got that tattoo and I had it and I was so proud of it. And for years, I was like, oh, I'm a big badass, you know, beautiful but dangerous and that sort of thing. Like, so full of myself and so full of shit. And then it just started to fade. And, like, I started falling out of love with it right around the time that I met my husband. And I was, like, thinking about getting a cover up and doing all that. But I never really, like, could afford it or anything like that. And so it just kind of sat there on my arm. And I became like really embarrassed by it and would cover it up all the time, like with shirts and stuff like that. But like anytime somebody asked me, oh, why did you get a lotus blossom on fire? And I'm like, oh, you know, because I like lotus blossoms. They're really serene and beautiful. Like I said, I was such a tosspot when I was younger. Like, certifiable disgusting child. All right, I'm going to go in with Strike It, which is that dark purple. And I'm going to tight line that just in my lashes. This is becoming a very dramatic look, and that's not what I was intending to do. But I'm using a little pencil brush to kind of push that into my lash line. And it's also smoking it out a little bit as I drag it along. I really like this Strike It color. It looks like a dark brown, but it's a deep, deep, deep purple. It's really, really pretty. So yeah, I've got 8 tattoos. I've got my Ghibli sleeve, which is by far and away my favorite tattoo. I wanted a Ghibli. I wanted a Ghibli or Chipley or however you want to pronounce it, depending on where you're from. I've wanted a Ghibli tattoo since I found out about Ghibli. I thought that like every single movie I've seen that I've just absolutely loved. The mastery of just of the direction and the stories behind the movies and the you know, the deeper meanings and stuff like that. By far and away my favorite movie is Spirited Away. I have a no face cosplay actually. I don't think I've ever told anybody that on here. I mean, I'll try and find a picture and I'll pop it up on the screen so you can see it. So I'll move over. So this is my no face costume. And I absolutely love it. It is a huge hit. Anytime we go to a convention, people are like clamoring to get pictures with me. It's the coolest thing. Let's see. I think I might go in with a liner. I'm going to go in with the color Alkaline. It's the 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil from Urban Decay. And it's this really pretty deep burgundy. Oh, that's perfect. It's like they were made for each other. So yeah, I'm a bit of a cosplayer. I have one costume. I'm trying to redo it because the head is got like it started out as paper mache and then it just kind of devolved from there and became this big mess of what do you call it? I actually used fiberglass to finish it, and it is so heavy, so heavy, and I've got it mounted to a welder's hat. It's a heavy piece, and I can't really wear it anymore now because it's just that heavy that it's really, really uncomfortable and almost impossible for me to wear. I'm gonna go in with my Falsies mascara from Maybelline. Alright, so the next one is I have an obsession with video games. I used to play Super Mario when the Super Nintendo came out. I played the original Nintendo, but the Super Nintendo was by far and away my favorite console for so many years. We struggled when I was younger. We didn't have money for a lot of things. The necessities we had money for, but stuff like video game consoles and stuff like that, we just didn't have money for. So I never really went without. I thought going to garage sales and getting 50-cent, you know, toys from people was just like the best thing in the world. I still love going garage sailing to this day. I think it's like one of the coolest things to do because you can find all kinds of stuff. And you get it for cheap. Yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasure kind of thing. I did end up one year getting I can't remember what it was called, but it was like this knockoff Sega Genesis console. And it had this one game, and I can't remember for the life of me what the name of it was. But it was almost these two Beavis and Butthead characters. and like you'd have like you would run around and like you'd have all these, you know, different levels and stuff like that. And these birds would fly by and they would shit, and so you'd have like these little piles of shit on the ground and you'd have to jump over them and stuff like that and not get hit by them as they're falling through the sky. And thoroughly inappropriate for the age that I had it, but I loved that game so much. And then one year for Christmas, I got a Sega Genesis, and I thought I was the shit. And I was so excited about getting that console. And I got Mortal Kombat, and I can't remember what other games I got with it, but I was just like, I thought I was king shit. And then a couple of the guys I was hanging out with weren't the nicest people in the world, and actually ended up breaking into our house. Like I would invite them over to hang out and stuff like that. I'm gonna go in with the color cream on my inner corner. And so one day while I was at school, our house got robbed, and yeah, so those guys actually like broke into our house while we weren't home. They actually ended up stealing my grandfather's antique rifle, and if they tried to shoot it, they would have shot their own hands off because it was just old and never used. And it was, like I said, antique. And so, like, good luck not blowing your hand off with that one. But the police couldn't prove anything, and so I never actually got my Sega Genesis back. And so, yeah, that was a very big teaching moment for me. Oh, broke my heart. It broke my heart. I was so... I felt like on top of the world. I was so happy when I got that palette, jeez. When I got that console. I've always been into video games. I love video games. I love computer games. I love video games. I love board games. I love games. So when I say I'm a gamer, like I kind of span all different genre of games. I've done D&D. I've done Vampire the Masquerade. I've played some Shadowrun. Never played Pathfinder. My husband plays Pathfinder, which are other D&D style, like they're offshoots of D&D. They all kind of go via the same system almost, if that's the right word to use. Yeah, my husband actually has 2 games a week, so he is a DM for one, and he's been invited to join another by one of the players from his game. And so yeah, my husband still games quite a bit. That's how we met, actually, was through a video game. We played World of Warcraft together, and we met, and we had known each other for like 2 or 3 years before we started dating. And it was actually really funny. Like, I ended up with this guy that I had also met through World of Warcraft, and he ended up breaking my heart. And so I was kind of like just doing my own thing, going around, doing my questing. So my husband comes up to me and he sends me an in-game whisper, and he's like, "Hey, how you going? I haven't seen you in ages." And I was like, "Oh my God." And I got so excited. And we started talking, and I was like, "Yeah, you know," he's like, how are things going? You know, what have you been up to?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you know, just been playing the game, you know, yada, 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 bullshit. Just broke up with somebody that, I'd been seeing for a little while." And he was like, "Oh, I just broke up with my fiance as well." And so from that, like, trauma of having a broken heart, my husband and I met, you know, kindled a friendship and a relationship because of heartbreak. And so we were both each other's rebounds, but because, like, he's in Australia, or he was in Australia, I'm here now, but duh. But because he was in Australia and I was in Texas, we kind of had this relationship that started out as, like, it was just us talking. And it felt very, like, old school, but at the same time very new school, because we were chatting online, but we were like pen pals almost to each other. And yeah, the relationship before that, I did not like my husband. I thought he was this cocky little shithead. And I actually, like, the day I met him, he was helping me quest with my cousin. And he was just like, "Okay, you need to come over here, you need to do this, you need to do that, da 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 da." And I literally whispered to my cousin, I'm like, who is this asshole? And she's like, no, 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 he's cool, he's cool. And I could not stand my husband the first time I met him. And that was my NARS Casino bronzer, by the way. And so, oh, and I did my ABH eyeliner, uh, brow, brow definer. There we go. And so I could not stand my husband the first time I met him. And then, yeah, after, you know, the heartbreak of breaking up with the one guy I was with and his breakup with his ex-partner, you know, just blossomed into this beautiful friendship and, you know, loving relationship. So there you go. Happy ending to pretty much any story. I'm going to go in with the Flower Beauty. Actually, I don't know if this is the right color. I think I'm going to... Oh, I'm going to go with Sweet Pea. I like this one. This one's really pretty too. This is the Flower Beauty Sweet Pea. What do you call this? Blush. There we go. So yeah, but we've been married for, like I said, 10 years in March, which is insane to think of, because I was one of those chicks where I was like, oh, I'm never getting married. It's just a piece of paper. Who the fuck cares? You know, if you love somebody, you don't need a piece of paper to tell you you love them. And like, I would literally say those words to anybody if they were like, are you ever going to get married? And I'm like, fuck marriage. Marriage is stupid. It's just, you know, the government. Yeah, I was so full of shit when I was younger. But I met my husband and, you know, we fell in love with each other. And it just, you know, I couldn't think of wanting to spend my life with anybody else. And so when he came over and met me and told me that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, I was just like, yes, I'm sold. I'm moving to Australia. We're doing this. It's happening. So, yeah. So cut to 11 years later or well, technically we've been together for 12 years. And it's a little like, we're both kind of like, is it 12 years or is it 11 years? Like, I've been here for 11 years. We've been together for 12, almost 13, actually, years, which is crazy for me to say. I never thought, never. I'm going to go in with my Born to Glow palette from NYX. It looks like this. It comes with 6. There's a few shades in here that are just way too deep for me to use, but they're still pretty AF. So I'm going to go in with this... Whoop. I'm going to go in with this shade here. I like this palette. It gives you a lot of oomph. You see? I mean, come on, beach. Can't beat that. That's beautiful. So yeah, we've been together for almost 13 years, which is insane because I never, ever thought I was going to get married. Like, legit never thought I was going to get married. But yeah, so still happy, still kicking, still going strong. And I wouldn't change it for anything. But back to what I was saying is I am a gamer. We played World of Warcraft. We've played Star Trek Online. We've played God, what else have we played? I've had so many online games like Portal. Portal, I love Portal. Portal's so much fun. But I got so dizzy playing it one time. Oh, that was fucking awful. I got so sick to my stomach playing that game. I think right now I'm just gonna put a gloss on my lip. So in high school, I swam competitively for my entire high school, well, almost all my high school career. I actually ended up getting a blood clot, and this is the NARS Velvet Lip Glide in the color Night Together, which is this shade here. I think it'll be really pretty with this look. It's not quite a lipstick, but it's not a lip gloss either. But I was a backstroker and freestyler, but my specialty was the backstroke. I swam all through high school until I got my blood clot, and then had to stop because my muscles just were shit after that. But loved swimming. Still love swimming. Love swimming my whole life. I definitely was a pool baby during the summers. Always bronzed and beautiful, like blonde streaks through my hair, and it's just, oh, I love swimming. I miss swimming so much. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's 10 little factoids about me that you may or may not have known. If you're new here, surely you've learned some very interesting things about me. If you're not new here, hopefully you've learned something new. So, I wanted to say, I want to say thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something. Give me a little factoid about yourself in the comments. I really want to see what kind of little tidbits you're willing to share with me. So, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video, and I will see you soon. Bye!